Ben and River, how do you do interim executives go beyond simply filling a gap and instead actually drive meaningful long-term transformation from your perspectives?
I can kick us off here. I think Sam just stated how it's happening at WellSpan, right? So, I think meaningful long-term change in an organization means, first and foremost, surmised really well by the group before. I think one of the ultimate compliments for any interim leader we have in place is being asked to stay. And so there is that factor and component, right? When we have matched cultural values well, when we have set expectations early of project and sustainability, it is more than often, right, that we see our interims or the interim on assignment be invited to continue to be a part of the system. And so that meaningful change, right, lives on through the transition, whether they stay or not, and the effect and impact that they've made. The other one that, I'll call out, right, just thinking of a specific example, right, I think of a partner we use and work closely with in Atlanta and in the Georgia market. And, I think the other complement, right, of sustainable change is remembering a name, right? I can think of an interim that was, helping to lead a very large quality team in a very large hospital, right? And so to this day, it's not just the leader who is working with that individual, it's the team members in the departments, right? They still remember that individual. They go back to them, right, and think through that and what is the effects, the impacts that they make. And then ultimately, right, if we kind of circle back to the meaningful change beyond, right, those two things, it's seeing leaders grow, right? So I think most intentionally, as we start to look at succession planning, as we look at good design of teams or, projects, a lot of times, right, being able to build that bench, help to build that bench and facilitate the growth. I think we'll see that more and more in systems going forward, is that intentional succession planning and building of team members to make sure that the residual change stays well beyond the task and assignment. It's really building the future of where they're going as a leadership team and as a system.
Well said, River. We take a lot of pride in our candidate database. We have, with all these decades, we have certainly a talent for every role out there, but we take most pride in making sure we find the best fit for every role. And our interim leaders are very much attuned to making transformational change that lasts. They've been in these roles full time. Sometimes 10, 15 years with a prior organization. So they're not looking at anything that's a Band-Aid, a fix, something that will last a little bit. They're looking at how to fix root causes and how to make them last. To the point on the attractiveness of these roles turning permanent, I'm so proud every time I receive a notice from a client that they're interested in doing so. And I'll share, that's between 20 and it's between a fifth and a fourth of all of our assignments. We have some type of interest in, would this candidate be interested in staying with us full on a permanent basis. It is across the whole group. It's single digits when that actually happens on a percentage basis. And it doesn't mean that some of our clients don't have a higher percentage of that than others. But back to the interim leader, by their DNA, they're problem solvers. They're wanting to respond, create plans, create improvements, and they're I wouldn't call them adrenaline junkies, but they're interested in that part of it. And so it takes a heck of a situation or offer for them to consider coming out of that, because they're just at the stage of their career or their interest level is really that type of work at that point.